You're listening to the Media Man Dan podcast, your place for music, movies, news, reviews, and interviews. Welcome to the show. Get ready to rock. Let's rock! Welcome to episode 4 of the Media Man Dan podcast. I have already covered my two favorite things in the whole wide world, music and movies, and my thoughts on them from just last year, basically. Just having a great time with all of that entertainment. But Media Man Dan was originally set to be only about physical media and only about entertainment purposes until the year 2020. I started my channel in 2019. I had a new job that was already set in place. I was getting more comfortable with talking to the camera. I had a really crappy setup and I didn't know how to edit anything yet, but I was learning. I was having fun with it. 2020 comes around and I was already pretty much on top of everything that I could be. I was trying to keep everyone updated with everything going on in the world of entertainment, and I had a couple of videos that you guys can find on my Music Man Dan channel that were breaking down the things that had taken place all before the awful experience that the pandemic gave us from 2020 all the way till the end of 2021, I'll say. Last year was very smooth for me, at least. Very lucky with some experiences, but I'm going to explain how it was just coming from my perspective of a guy that was raised to be Catholic and to have these good sets of morals. I never pushed myself into political positions. I never really tried to understand them. I never had any interest in politics. I still to this day have not voted, so I am very out of it. My shirt right here says, "Never underestimate the power of stupid people in large groups." That's exactly how I felt about the government and still feel about the government, but I have had some changes of heart when it comes to picking a side and watching things go down, especially from 2020 and 2021. I was working in a hotel at the time, and a lot of things were not making sense when it came to the pandemic and how we were responding to them. Like bringing extra guests in, of course. You know, everybody was like social distance, social distance, social distance, and here we are. Open the doors, make sure everybody can come in, and okay, yeah, everybody can use the pool because the pool is a place where no germs spread apparently. And I was like, oh, this is kind of sketchy, guys. I don't really like this. But we kept it up for the whole year. Unfortunately, in that time, we had the experience of the lockdowns first. I'm in Chicagoland, so Pritzker and everybody else, Lightfoot, making sure that we weren't going to live our daily lives anymore. And then when George Floyd happened in, what was that, June of 2020, that like really revved up the amount of insanity that was going on around us, especially in the city. I was not close to the city, and I thank God for that. But when we had some guests that were irate in our building and we didn't know how to handle them and nobody was there with me, it was just a mess. It was a mess all over, and I was constantly looking for answers. This is the thing about the pandemic, that a lot of people weren't allowed to like question things that were going on around them. And I finally found some people that were doing that, and I thought that I could trust everything that they were saying because I was super new to understanding propaganda, politics, all of that. I had some conspiracy stuff from the good old days of YouTube before it was all censored in 2016, so I had some background with it, but I didn't really try to pick a side at that point. I was just like, I'll just keep awareness. That's what I was doing. I was staying vigilant, as the guy that I watch would say, the Vigilant Christian, and the Groxed. There was a couple other channels as well that really just formed my opinions of like thinking outside the box and questioning everything. So when it came to this pandemic, I had a lot of questions that were not being answered, and I started seeing people that I was finding to have some good questions also being like completely blocked out from everything. Like everything was fact checking and false claims and fake news. It was just a mess all over. And I was not a big fan of Trump, and I sure as hell do not like Biden, but I was so confused on what was going on. And so coming from a Catholic background, coming from a Republican household, I of course leaned right when it came down to it in the beginning. Now there was moments where I was saying, okay, well, everybody is a propagandist. This is basically all that it is. Every single side is trying to put it so that their side wins in this huge pandemic that is fucking up the whole world. And it's like, I don't care. I just want answers. I just want to know, like, why we are not allowed to ask these things, why everyone was being censored for questioning anything when it came to the masks, when it came to vaccines, when it came to the way that the government was talking about things. And we're all in this together and teaching us to wash our hands like it's the first time. Very strange times, I'll tell you that. But I couldn't stick with either party. I was like, okay, the Democrats are believing this, the Republicans are believing this, and I don't want to be stuck in an echo chamber. So I started listening to some streamers. Of course, that's what everybody does. We get into all the people from Gamergate, and we get all the people that are on Twitch, and all the people with political opinions online. That's basically your first reaction in this generation. You want to go and find answers, so you go online and you go to those places that you usually wouldn't think about, and you want to listen to their opinion. I was listening to an atheist that was consistently breaking down cults and stuff like that. He started going political and went way left from where I originally was, and I was like, I can't really stick with you, dude. I was watching Hunter Avalon, and I couldn't get into him because he just kept pushing all of the right propaganda as like the only thing that the right knew how to do. And I was like, listen, man, there's some moderate normal conservatives out there that aren't trying to be crazy people, and I'm one of them. I don't want to be a crazy person pushing it on people. I just want people to think for themselves and use free speech and never be censored. If they are asking a question, somebody can answer it, and if you censor somebody, of course they're going to continue asking why they're being censored. It's a simple, obvious thing. The common sense conservative is the greatest way to think, in my opinion, because it's just like looking at all sides. It's basically a centrist point of view, but you are definitely leaning right. So what I do is I look at every party, I look at their reactions to things nowadays, and I'm looking at like what Republicans are doing right versus what Democrats are doing right. And it seems, in my opinion, from what I've seen from my favorite podcast, The All American Savage Show, that the right usually is doing the right thing. And boy, does that fit for the name. But the Democrats, it seems like a lot of things changed from the time of 2013 all the way to 2023 right now. We've changed a lot. I remember back in school, we would learn about the presidents and we would learn about the parties and we would learn about like all of the things that our parents believe in, but it wasn't pushed down our throats. And none of us really got truly involved in it because we didn't have like social media constantly reminding us all of this stuff that's supposed to offend us. Like all of the emotion was not there except for the horrible event that was 9/11 and a couple other events like Virginia Tech. We had to experience those, and we were definitely emotionally responding, but we still didn't have that like embrace that the next generation does have, like this Gen Z stuff where people are going out of their way to virtue signal to say that they're not part of that hatred, they're not part of that evil group. It's like, listen, man, this stuff wasn't a thing before. I don't remember ever seeing anyone as truly like evil. I just remember disagreeing, and I remember like living my life anyway. This was such a weird thing for me because when 2020 happened and I started seeing all the celebrities talking about their perspectives, especially the idiots that sang Imagine, and like how hard it is for them, and that everybody needs to put a black square because the Black Lives Matter, and I'm like, when did they not matter? I don't remember ever hearing that Black lives didn't matter in my life. That was never a thing that we learned. We had all of the teachings that we do now, same history courses. We didn't censor any of that information about the poverty, about slavery, about any of that. So we understand that, yeah, shit happened back in the day, but it's not happening right now, and we're grateful for that. But it seems like what's happening in this time, especially, is that everyone wants to be a victim. And with the victim mentality, they're constantly putting it out in front of the people and saying, this is my identity now. I am constantly in need of answers for why my ancestors were treated wrongly. And it's like, yeah, whatever. I mean, you weren't there. I probably would say that you wouldn't be able to survive one day without your cell phone. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure that that's not going to be the best to push yourself into that corner. But like I said, it's this huge social media push. It's this constant beating over the head on either side. Nobody on either side should be like, I never did anything to cross the line. I never called somebody a Nazi, a bigot, a hater, a fascist. Like, this is what we all came up with. We all bullied each other. And my political stance is that I want everybody to see through the same lens. George Carlin had it down. I cannot elaborate. I cannot explain as well as some of these great people.
Forget the politicians. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club. By the way, it's the same big club they used to beat you over the head with all day long when they tell you what to believe. All day long, beating you over the head in their media, telling you what to believe, what to think, and what to buy. The table is tilted, folks. The game is rigged. And nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. Good, honest, hard-working people, white collar, blue collar, doesn't matter what color shirt you have on. Good, honest, hard-working people continue. These are people of modest means. Continue to elect these rich cocksuckers who don't give a fuck about them. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't care about you at all, at all, at all. Man.
We're still trusting people that we should not. We're still giving way too much of our own freedom away to these people that are just taking advantage of us for money. Like, that's what this whole thing came down to. The Pfizer, the Moderna, the every single vaccine company was getting their fair share. And now President Biden's State of the Union is saying that, like, oh, we're gonna make sure Big Pharma doesn't get as much money. It's like, what are you talking about, bro? They've been taking the money since you guys were representing them all the way back in 2020. Advertisements, commercials, constantly telling us to believe that this is the answer. This is the answer. I promise, this time it's the answer. But it was a boy who cried wolf experience for me. Every time I was like, I'm sorry. I don't believe that you care about me all of a sudden. I don't believe you care about any of us. I believe this is a population control thing. And that was my whole mindset in 2020. So I came across channels like Steven Crowder. I was already into him a little bit before that, just for his Change My Mind segment, and I was into Awaken with JP, which I thought was going to be the greatest way to deal with stuff, but it would definitely upset me as much as it made me laugh, and that was like the thing I didn't need. I just wanted somebody to be brutally honest. And then finally in 2021, I came across John Ross, or known as John Burke, who has his own podcast, which I listen to now every single day, because I want to hear a brutally honest perspective of what's going on from a man who sits in the center, definitely leans right, but actually criticizes those that are doing the wrong things. And that's why I'm going to continue plugging this guy, because anytime I listen to anyone that can call out something that they originally were all for and say, no, they're wrong in this occasion. You can call out Trump, you can call out Biden, you can call out every single person that you vote for. It's okay to do that. Just because you have a fear of being censored, just because you have a power complex that they're in charge of you because they have some kind of extra ability, it should never be that way. We're all human beings. We don't ever look at one another in a way that makes them feel less than you. That's the way that we should always be, in my opinion. A common sense conservative is somebody that says, I believe that the Constitution is the correct way of living. I believe that we have been in a gracious period for the last 10 years before all of the pandemic stuff, where we were able to enjoy ourselves and we were able to express ourselves more than we ever were before. And now that free speech is being once again attacked, it just feels like the time is now to stand up, to actually defend the things that you believe in. And it doesn't matter what side, as long as you truly believe in something, you should have respect for that. Now, I can go into the really heavy topics of abortion, and I can go into the heavy topic of transgendering, but I just want to say this. I'm always going to be pro-life. I've always been pro-life. That's just the way I was raised. It makes the most sense to me. I would love to be a father one day, and I don't want to lose that experience at all. I truly believe that babies are a miracle created by God. That's my own opinion. And I don't care who believes me or doesn't believe me. You have your own opinion. That's perfectly fine. But for the woke agenda from the progressive side of the politics, especially the far left, there's no true reason why some of these movies that have changed over time have had extra characters with traits that originally weren't there. And I'm not talking about gays or anything like that. I definitely got over that. I originally was pretty homophobic, I can say. When I was younger, I didn't really understand it, because I obviously am not gay. So I was like, it just doesn't make sense to me. But after a time, I was like, if you believe that's what you are, just be yourself. That's honestly the best way to live your life, is to just be who you are. But when it comes to this stuff where it's propagandizing the way to change the minds of minors to believe that there's something wrong with them, that they can change it through surgery to change their gender, I cannot agree with this. This is a very different time, and I don't think that there is a minor out there that truly has that opinion completely alone. I doubt that this is a solitary event. I believe that this is coming from their influences around them, like parents, their guardian, their uncle, their aunts, their friends. Like, we all have peer pressure that we deal with. But the thing is that we never had the opportunity, as me, a 90s baby, to, say, I want to surgically change something about myself because I just don't feel like it's right at this point in time. And when you say that at like 16, 17, and then later down the line, you're like, whoops, that was a big mistake. I definitely misread what I was looking at. I definitely misread my own opinions, because at that time I had no idea what the real world was like. I had no real experience and how people are these days, especially with this safe space that we've created, right? I want people to be able to express themselves. I want people to feel safe. Of course, we don't ever want people to feel attacked. As somebody who's been bullied for a long period of time, I don't believe that I would ever want anyone to go through that. However, when it comes to pushing an agenda that seems to be all about the empowerment of yourself, your own like spirit, or your own mindset at that time, and you're too young to understand the actual events that can take place, the actual pain that could cause in the future, and you're taking that chance because you're pressured, or you feel like right now is the time to do it, but you're not actually fully committed. I mean, you have to commit because, it's surgery, but you're not fully committed to this mindset. This is just a part of you at that moment, and it could change at any time. It seems so dangerous for anyone that's under the age of 18 to have that access to be able to change their gender, to be able to change the way that they see themselves in like literally physical format. It's scary. I would never ever want to know that back when I was a sophomore in high school that I had the option to like do something to change whatever I want to be a rapper, right? I had a bad experience in a relationship. I was like, oh, I want to be a rapper. What if I, changed it completely? This is the most offensive example, but let's say like, oh, I was like, oh, rap is only for urban culture, therefore I want to change my skin color, and that option was available. Do you think I should do that? Do you honestly think that back then when I was 16 years old, I had the right mindset? I would follow through and say this was a good decision? No, of course not. I had no idea what life had for me. I'm still learning. I'm almost 30. This is a very big thing that I'm just flabbergasted to see that people are so willing to just give up, to give in to anything that's around them as a fad, as a popular event, that they're just like, oh yeah, because this is now in, I'm gonna do it. The same thing that TikTok culture and an Instagram model culture comes with. Like, you have these people that are constantly faking it for cameras. They're constantly stealing things from other people. Here's your idea. Oh, well, I can do the exact same thing, but because I'm more attractive, I make it better. I don't like that. I don't like this way of thinking. I don't like people exposing themselves and their bodies in order to get more famous. I think that's disgusting. I think it's immoral. I think it's degenerate. As John Burke would say, we've had a lot of degeneracy, especially from the woke shit that we constantly see from Hollywood. We're constantly told by these rich assholes what lifestyle we're supposed to have. And we can't possibly know what that lifestyle is unless we can truly afford to be in that position, or, sell our soul and get stuck in that position. Like, this is, it's crazy to ever believe that a politician, a celebrity, anyone in the elite category of power or money is trustworthy. And you can question all the people that you love. I can question every single one of my favorite influencers. John Burke, I can question anytime I want to. But the thing I know about him is that when he speaks, he has no reason to lie. There is nothing behind him that says, I'm going to say this nicely so that I don't offend this crowd. He never plays around. He's straightforward with everything. Down to earth, based, if you want to say that. It's like, that's the kind of person that I love to have. And it seems like in this day and age where everyone is super sensitive to everything and everything is considered hate speech, that person is too dangerous. That person is just, we cannot have that kind of free thought anymore because the times have changed. It's 2023. We need to get with the program. Everybody needs to be progressive. Everybody needs to understand that there's no suicide problem that comes from the transgender community. It's just all a myth. Everything's a myth. It's like, listen, man, if you're mentally telling yourself from the time that you're born that there is something wrong with you, you probably need therapy. If you don't have therapy and you make a decision that's going to permanently change you as a minor, you need to have somebody that's on your side, of course, but at the same time, you want them to say, like, listen, just wait. Maybe when you're 18, maybe something is going to change. Maybe that whole opinion you've had of yourself for the longest time, you hate yourself. Everyone outcasted you, right? I've been there. I've been outcasted. I know exactly how it feels to be the loser in the room, to be the idiot in the room, or retard, as I was called. There's plenty of things that people do to push you down on a constant daily basis, but there's nothing that says that you have to believe what they're saying. There's nothing that says that you have to change anything about who you are. If you truly believe that you are of the other gender, then that's what you believe. You don't have to do anything to prove it. You don't have to hurt yourself in any way. And the fact that it's physically, like, just so painful for some of these people that have detransitioned or talked about their experience transitioning, and the way that we've fabricated it and romanticized it in Hollywood as something that should just be an option. Oh yeah, just change yourself. Oh yeah. This is coming from the people that can get nose surgery and they're just like, yeah. Oh, got a new nose, easy. We don't have that kind of lifestyle. We don't have that kind of luxury. We don't live in their world. Their world is so wrapped up in whatever is popular. And if they don't follow a certain thing that goes viral, then they're already in the past. That's constantly what our culture is pushing on us on a daily basis. These people that we consider heroes, they're constantly made to tell us it's not like they want to. It's not like this is just something that comes to them and they all say it at the exact same time in the same exact place by coincidence. This is something that comes with a contract. This is something that says, oh, well, right now, if anything happens to the BLM, you have to jump in there. You have to say, I stand with the BLM. Oh, if anything happens with transgenderism, you have to jump in and you got to be like, I stand with trans. But here's the thing. When you virtue signal like that, when you don't have any follow through and you consistently lie, it makes you a soulless piece of shit. And that's how I always see these people. Soulless pieces of shit that have absolutely no right to say how we as normal people live our lives, as normal people that are trying to work day to day, trying to get a living that's going to help us have children in the future and help them have an experience that's not going to be in such an awful position that maybe we have come from before. I haven't personally. I was very lucky. I was gifted with the chance of being born in the suburbs. I don't know how it would be in other places. I don't know how it would be coming from a different family, and I can never ever assume that. So I don't judge anyone that's in that position. I don't judge anyone from any background. I honestly just want everyone to get along. I've said this from the first day that I was bullied. Why don't they like me? Why can't we just be friends? I've always said that. But now here I am, and I have to draw the line in the sand, as they say. And I have to pick a side, and I have to say what is morally right and morally wrong, and where am I going to stand at the end of the day? Who am I going to stand up for? And it's so insane, because now it seems like it's a modern popularity contest to be as woke as possible, to push so much propaganda into your face, like the Velma show does, where it's just overwhelming. And if you hate it, or if you say, I don't like this, I don't like what you're doing to what I know or what I've heard before, they're like, you're a bigot, you're a hater, you'll never understand anything because you're a boomer, you're just an old sack of shit, and you should just die on the side of the road. And this is coming from like a 14-year-old, right? When I was 14, you think I was telling anyone older than me that they should die on the side of the road, or that they were a Nazi? That was never an option. I never cared. I never got involved. But these kids that are these days, they're being constantly told what to do, what to think, what to wear. And we had the exact same peer pressure when it came to like boy bands and girl bands and rap artists and the edgy type of metal, the metalcore, screamo, all of that, right? It's all a fad. We all know it. It's not a phase. It's real. Here's the thing, guys. We know in our heart of hearts that is just a part of our life. As adults now, if anybody's in my age range, they've looked back at their history and they've been like, yeah, I did some stupid shit. Yeah, I thought some stupid stuff. For me, I'm definitely very dense when it comes to the political stuff because I barely had any experience with it. So finally, when I got to 2020, when I got to see how it was firsthand, when I got to see people acting out in person, when they had their explanation of why they were acting out is because they're oppressed. But yet these same people, if we weren't in the pandemic, if George Floyd wasn't killed, they wouldn't have said a damn thing. The fact that they could walk in and now use this against us and be like, oh, if you disagree with me beating my girl in the middle of the hallway, then you're a racist. What? That's insane. That's absolutely insane. Anytime I called the cops, it's like, why'd you have to call the cops? Fuck the blue guys. It's like, listen, man, I am not on any side of this. I just want people to be safe at the end of the day. And when they constantly pushed on all these other guests, especially in the pool area, I was like, this is crazy. This is madness. Fights breaking out all over almost every single night when I was on shift, just by my luck. But I got to see it firsthand. And now I have to say, it's like, guys, just get your shit together. Stay in your rooms. Sleep when it's nighttime. It's like an easy little thing. But people got so upset with everything going on. They got so upset with being locked down. They got so upset with not having the same advantages that they did before, wearing masks. It didn't matter what side of the political party, because everybody just hated each other. It seemed like it was so incredibly separate. It seemed like everyone had chosen their way, and that all these celebrities, including me, I was very judgmental towards celebrities. I was like, oh, you listen to that? Oh, you believe in that? I'm gonna unfollow you, because I mean, I can't go along with what you're saying. And I hated that. I hated knowing that there were some of my favorite artists, especially in music, that had such a strange, divisive opinion from what they originally were pushing into their fans. Like, we're all family. We're all supposed to get along. This concert is your home, and we're all here together to have a good time. When you go to a Shinedown show, there is no divisiveness. I'll say that right now. That is one of the greatest shows to go to because everybody is like family. Same for country concerts. They don't really want to divide the audience. If you see Cody Johnson, he'll make it very clear to you that we're all Americans and we should all be very happy and we should all love one another. That's a beautiful message. But what we see nowadays with this constant push for this politicalization in everything, music, movies, entertainment, it's constantly telling us that we need to pick a side, that we're going to battle with the other. Like, that's exactly the kind of stuff that happened in order to have all of the wars that have taken place, including this new war that we shouldn't even be involved with, in my opinion. I believe that this Russia and Ukraine situation, since it's not part of the NATO, as far as I know, we are in NATO, so we have to be involved in anything that involves NATO. I believe that we shouldn't have anything to do with it. But our president is changing his mind at any moment to make sure that we seem like the heroes. That's what he wants to do. We're heroes, guys. That's what we are. We're American heroes. As we once again invade another country that we should have nothing to do with, and we're stuck there for how long, and we're fighting for how long, and we're losing troops constantly, and then when we finally get them back, we're not even getting them back in a strategic manner. When Biden brought the troops back and he left like 13 people to die over there, I was like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why are you abandoning people? Why is this the tactic? After all that time, these people have been fighting for this country. They have to be stuck there, imprisoned, and die, knowing that no one cared about them. How awful. How awful is that? Honestly. But you're going to continue hearing everything that you want to hear. You're going to continue watching everything you want to watch. But all I ask at the end of the day is that you think for yourself. You question everything. You question everyone. And if you don't like my opinion, it's perfectly fine. But I'm not going to stop sharing it. Because I think that the best thing that you can do when it comes to any situation, so that it doesn't go out of control, so that everything doesn't get violent, and so that we don't divide ourselves once again like we did in the Civil War, is just talk about it. Just talk about it. Bring it up. Don't have that weird, awful conversation that you're always scared of having every Thanksgiving with your super duper Republican uncle at the dinner table, like, oh, all of this crap is because of all these Gen Z kids and stuff. Don't have that conversation, but just say, listen, this is where I'm coming from. I'd like to hear where you're coming from. We need to have common ground somewhere, because these assholes at the top are the only problem. They're the only reason we consistently fight with one another. They're the ones singing Imagine in their mansions when we're locked down, when those people that lost their jobs are out on the street. They're singing Imagine. They think that's helpful. I will never forget that. And I hope you don't either. That's about it for right now, though. Once again, thank you guys for anyone that does support me full through and through. I'm giving you my personality. I'm giving you who I am as a person constantly on this podcast. That's what I do here. That's how I am all the time. And I'd love to hear your opinions. I'd love to see the discourse in a civil way, that we can have a normal conversation, that we can disagree and agree at the same time. I can work with you. I've always found common ground with almost everyone that I've ever talked to when it comes to our level. I will probably never find common ground with a celebrity because their world is so different from ours. Once again, the main point that I have, think for yourself. Question everybody, even if you believe in them 100%. It doesn't matter if they seem like a hero one day. That doesn't mean that they're a hero all the time. That doesn't mean that they're free of sin. That doesn't mean that they've never made a mistake in their life. There is no reason to ever give yourself over to one of these people that truly don't care about you. You're just a number on their system at the end of the day. You're just a number that they send the bill to at the end of the month. This is nothing to them. They don't care about you. They will never help you in your real life. They're not there for you. And they will constantly play games so that we, as the normal, regular, everyday American, constantly get screwed over, and then once again, blame our neighbor for it. Blame the person across the street. Blame the mailman. Blame somebody that has nothing to do with it, because that's who we think is at fault, thanks to these assholes up top. So once again, please think for yourself. Stay away from groupthink. Stay away from cults, especially when it comes to some crazy conspiracy cults. There's a lot out there on every side. Always be happy to be American. It's a beautiful thing. We got a lot of rights that a lot of other countries don't. The way that we're able to speak freely is an amazing thing. Never ever take that for granted. It's an amazing thing. America is beautiful. We're very lucky. Anybody that lives here, we're very lucky. We should be very, hopeful of things. Like a lot of other countries, they look at us and they see us as that country that's like always optimistic. And I've always found that as a strange thing, that they would look strangely at us and be like, why are you optimistic? It's because we've had so much hardship. We've had the same experiences as other countries. And from our history, from what I've learned, is that we prevailed. We got stronger. We stood together. And when it came down to it, we beat the forces of evil in order to become one. We came together to start a new chapter of America. We let go of what happened in the past so that we could move forward. Let's not make the same mistakes as our ancestors. Let's not go back to that. Let's not hold everything against one another based on past experience. There's no reason for that. This is all about love. This is all about life. This is all about freedom. That's it. Have a great night. Peace.
Thank you for tuning in to the Media Man Dan podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, feel free to like and subscribe. Thanks for listening, have an awesome day, and stay safe out there. Peace.